Hey everybody, and welcome to Understanding Gen Z, presented by Stephen and Chris, the Northern and Southern Regional Coordinators for the Office of Youth Ministry.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome, down here in the South, it's really fun. Up in the North, I know you guys are having fun too. Us being all isolated and put in different places, it's physically distant, but not socially distant. Right. And in this time, we want to invite you all to come jump in and understand who are these Generation Z kids and what do we do with them?
That's right. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Understanding Gen Z. Let's jump on in. Hey, before we get started with this presentation, I just want to give you a reminder. If you don't know where we're at, make sure you go and check out Understanding Gen Z Part 1. You'll understand where we're at this point. We just talked about a quote where it was shown that young people, a part of the Gen Z, want their bosses and managers to talk to them straightforward, to the point, with no sugarcoating. So we're going to look at the question, how does that apply to our ministry? So right now, let's jump back into the video. So in understanding this and hearing how they want to receive the message, the question today that we have for you is this. What does this mean for your ministry? Chris, why don't you let us know what the answer is?
What this means for your ministry is that you are being called to look at what you're doing and tell them the truth about their faith. Not saying Jesus is high up in the sky, but it really explaining who the person of Jesus is and who the person of Jesus is in your life. And then how is that supposed to connect to them in their life, in their reality? Because the reality for them is that they are living a life very similar to ours as they grew up, except the difference is that we are being called to really look in and say, in this nuanced thing that's going on right now, and this thing that's happening in your life, this is how God is acting and working, and explaining how that is. And if we don't have the answer, being okay with saying, I don't have the answer right now, but not giving a fake one just to appease the young person. So that's one of the components in regards to how this affects your ministry. The other is that you are competing against all these competing priorities. And so many times we have to think of dynamic ways to engage our young people so that way they are not overwhelmed by all those many things they're doing outside a group and outside of your engagement, but that they are able to fully concentrate in on the work and the things that you are working on. And that means we have to incorporate things that they're used to. So that multi-directional learning, that multi-engagement, you may have to have an icebreaker that follows with a reading, that follows with an activity, but they don't all have to happen at 3 separate times. They could all happen at once. It's almost like organized chaos. And I think that can sound crazy to some people and be like, oh my gosh, how would you have so many pieces happening all at once? But a young person, that's what they thrive on, is the ability to have choice and to be able to say, okay, cool, I think I'm good in this particular section. I'm ready to move on and move at my own pace. And we learned this from our teachers and our schools who have designed curriculum specifically to support this, where we allow the young people to go through different stages in their learning and to learn together. And so maybe one of the things that we do is you create these small leadership groups of young people who really help to drive where the group is moving forward. And we provide an opportunity for them to really understand and grow within that ministry, their identity with the person of Jesus Christ.
Amen. And in speaking about that and having the multi-directional learning and having that engagement with them and that high energy and sort of reaching them in all different ways, as we were talking about before with the multitasking, they're watching a movie, they have a tablet, they have a phone, and they have an AirPod. So we have to make sure that we work in ministry, that we can make it into one of those devices. Now, today, and if you're watching this at a later time when you're able to meet in person, right now we are, as we've been saying this whole time, we're in a time of isolation and social distancing, but we're not spiritually distant. And what we have to do is we have to make sure that we are producing content and reaching out to them in ways that are worthy enough for them to want to sit there and work with that on their phone, on a tablet, or on their TV. And one of the other aspects is that they are hungry for that person-to-person communication. So as Chris was saying, the youth minister is there to give them that presence, to be a person for them to talk with and to guide them. And they're a highly customizable generation. They're able to customize their phones, their sneakers. You could go and customize sneakers. I think that's pretty cool. But they need their faith to be customized, because a lot of times what young people see is their faith like this, because that's how other generations might see that. But for them, when the blinders, so to say, are taken off, they're able to see their faith in these new aspects and these new dimensions, but all roads lead back to Christ. And that's what we want to make sure that we're doing with the young people that we serve, especially Gen Z.
In a very nuanced way. I think it's so interesting that we say, taking the blinders off. When we look in the Bible, right? Jesus didn't say, here are the blinders. He literally said, here's your life. And this is how God is calling you to continue and build the kingdom of heaven here in your life today. And that's what we're being called to do.
Amen. Amen. So right now we're going to wrap this up. This is just a small portion and a small piece of how we can understand Gen Z. But if you have any comments or questions, you can leave them down below or send us an email. The email will be in the description. And stay connected with us at the Office of Youth Ministry. Make sure you follow us on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram. Check us out at OYMNY.org. And our handles on social media are OYMNY. You're checking it out right now. So Chris, thanks again for joining us today, and we will see you in the next video. All right, everybody, that is the end of our video for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this content to be helpful or valuable, please let us know. Drop us a comment, hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you can be aware when we have videos coming out. And as always, reach us on social media at OYMNY and our website, OYMNY.org. And we will see you in the next video. Take care.